Welcome, everyone. What's going on? It's Kyle Henderson of BamaInsider.com. Thank you for joining me today, Thursday, April 4th, on our Talk of Champions podcast. You can like and subscribe on YouTube and, of course, all the coverage back at BamaInsider.com. I want to talk to you about a couple of things today, and I wanted to lead off with kind of updating you on which freshmen are going to enroll this summer. Get that question a lot during our YouTube videos, in particularly a lot of people asking me about Trey Sanders. So I want to update you on which particular prospects are coming in. I want to talk about Nick Saban, his press conference from Wednesday night. It was a great press conference. If you want to watch the entirety of the press conference from Wednesdays, just go to our YouTube channel and check it out. Hit on a variety of topics. Also wanted to talk about Tua Tagovailoa. We got a chance to talk with Alabama's quarterback back on Monday. He gives his thoughts on Alabama's first scrimmage of the spring season. As you know, Alabama will have another scrimmage this Saturday leading up to A-Day, which is on April 13th. We got you covered at BamaInsider.com. Also going to hear from Alabama safety Xavier McKinney, get his thoughts on how the defense played. And also pipe in a couple other comments from Tua Tagovailoa talking about Mack Jones and talking about the veteran offense that Alabama has returning this season. So again, my name is Kyle Henderson of BamaInsider.com. You're listening to the Talk of Champions podcast right here on YouTube. This weekend, Alabama will also hold their annual coaches clinic. A lot of big-time names always coming in. Really excited to hear from Freddie Kitchens, the Cleveland Browns' new head football coach. And Cleveland has put together quite a roster. Really excited to hear from him. You can if you're attending the coaches clinic, I'd like to hear your thoughts on how it went. I know Alabama really puts on a great show, and Nick Saban really likes to give back to the high school coaches. He spoke about that on Wednesday. But to open the show, let's go over the early enrollees, and I'll start with Trey Sanders, 5-star running back who is yet to be on campus. He'll get here this summer. Got that question a lot in the running back videos. 5-star out of the IMG Academy. King Makuta will also be here this summer. He's a 4-star linebacker out of Georgia. Jahlil Billingsley is a 4-star tight end. And I'm kind of interested to see if Billingsley can make an instant impact. As you know, Alabama needs a tight end that can come in here and really fight for that starting position. I don't think when you look at the tight end roster, I don't think there's anyone right now that's dubbed as a starter for the 2019 season. Braylon Ingram is a 4-star defensive end out of Fort Lauderdale. Christian Harris, a 4-star linebacker out of Baton Rouge, Louisiana. DeMarco Helms, listed as a Rivals 100 safety out of Maryland. Jordan Battle, 4-star safety. Brandon Turnage, 4-star cornerback. Brian Young was a 4-star defensive end. Killian Robinson. Did you guys see on Instagram that Killian Robinson recently had surgery? So I don't know what the surgery was. It was on his leg. It looked like it was on his knee. So how long is he going to be out for? Is he going to miss the 2019 season? I don't know. That'd be a big blow to a young man getting on campus this summer. So, prayers up to Killian Robinson. Hopefully he can make a quick turnaround and make an impact for the Crimson Tide sooner than later. Ismail Sopshire is a 4-star defensive tackle out of Louisiana. And rounding out the list is Marcus Banks, is a 4-star corner who will also be on campus this summer. So there's a list, and here's what Nick Saban had to say Wednesday night about the new enrollees and building depth and teaching the fundamentals.
Well, we always try and teach fundamentals. We're trying to teach guys what to do. We're trying to teach them how to do it. We're trying to teach them why it's important to do it. But we're going to have a lot more young guys come in that hopefully can make a contribution. I think of the 12 guys we got left coming in, 9 of them are defensive players, and some of those guys are going to add depth to the team, in the secondary, up front, maybe at linebacker. So there's a lot of opportunity there. We got a tight end coming in. That's an area where, we need some help. A couple running backs on offense where we need help. So we're going to get younger before we get older. And we're going to try to do a good job of trying to teach those guys what we can during the summer. But, look, I'm a whole teacher. All right, and I think, it's like taking a bucket or whatever you want to call it. I don't want to call it what I call it, and throw it up against the wall and see what sticks. Put what falls down in the bucket again and throw it up there again, and if you do it enough times, it's all sticks. So that's, I know you think I'm crazy, but that's how we've always done it, and it seems like it works a little bit.
Coach, last one with Terry.
All right, Nick Saban talking about some of these younger guys and his anticipation to get, 9 out of those 12 prospects on the defensive side of the ball. And the theme this spring, he's talked about it several times, is building the depth on the defensive side. He says he's been pleased with the depth that he sees on the offensive side of the football. But he mentioned on Wednesday, and we'll play that clip here in a little bit, about the running backs, and saying that he'd like to see a little bit more depth in that particular area. Now it's a little bit more interesting with Killian Robinson, who looks like he just had surgery, probably being out for several months for the 2019 season. We also heard from Tua Tagovailoa, Alabama's All-American quarterback, this week, and we got his thoughts on Alabama's first scrimmage of the spring season. Here's Tua talking about his thoughts on the opening scrimmage.
Well, the first one is always how you really gauge on what everyone knows, and this is, I think this goes for the entire spring, this is a great learning experience and an opportunity for the older guys to help out a lot of the younger guys, early enrollees, guys that didn't get as much playing time last year. It's a great way for us to kind of hone in our experiences and share with them and, kind of help them get better and hopefully reach their full potential as well. So,
what did you see from your brother getting to watch him?
There's a lot of things he can work on. We talked about it in our quarterback room, things that I can work on, things that the other quarterbacks can work on. It's all about getting better in our quarterback room. So he knows he got to get better, and we all know we got to get better. So we just got to continue to push ourselves and one another.
That was Tua. You can watch the full interview on our YouTube channel. We also got to hear from Nick Saban on Wednesday night, and he talks about the difference from having an actual scrimmage as opposed to a practice. Thought it was a good soundbite. Here's Nick Saban talking from Wednesday night about the difference between practice and scrimmage.
Oh, I think you learn a lot about individual players' ability to, go play. I think good coaches are trying to reinforce players in practice after every play. So they're telling them you did this well, or you need to do it this way, or you made a mental error, or you're getting corrected, or you did a good job, or whatever. So you're trying to reinforce guys on every play. Well, sometimes players, are kind of depending on that reinforcement all the time in practice. But in a game, there's no coach out there. I used to coach like that when I was an assistant, and we'd have a scrimmage at the Cleveland Browns, and Belichick would chew my butt out, man. He'd say, "Let the players play." And I was like, wow, I never had my butt chewed out before for coaching, teaching. But I have to say the same thing sometimes to our coaches now. All right, because there's a time where you just got to let the players play, because in the game, they got to know what to do. They got to know how to do it. They can't depend on somebody else to make a call for them. They can't depend on somebody else to recognize things for them. So we actually do stuff in practice now. When we do team move the field, I make the coaches get off the field, make the calls, let the players play. And when you get in a scrimmage, then they're more ready for the scrimmage, because they got to go out there and execute and make their own calls and do things on their own. So and that's the next step of guys being ready to contribute and play. It's different to be able to do it in practice than it is to be able to do it in the game.
That was Nick Saban on Wednesday. Again, you can hear and listen to the entire press conference and watch it on our YouTube channel. We also got a chance to talk with Xavier McKinney, Alabama's All-American safety, who's returning, and hear his opening thoughts on Alabama's first scrimmage last Saturday.
I thought it was a good scrimmage overall. Of course, there's a lot of things that we could do better, a lot of things that we still got to work on. So, we halfway through, spring. We still got another half left. So, we're just going to keep working and keep improving.
maybe some of those specifics you want to work on to improve in the second scrimmage?
I think one of our biggest things was communication. I feel like we tried to work on that a lot for this first scrimmage. Like I said, still a lot of improvement left. You know, as far as making sure everybody is on the right keys, just eye discipline. So a lot of different things that we can still work on.
How much does that change with some new coaches coming through? Does the terminology, does the play calls, does that stuff change with those guys?
Nah, it's the same old you know, play calls that we've had before, just different people calling it. But you know, for us, it's the same stuff that we've been doing. So we're used to it. You know, so nothing different for us.
That was Xavier McKinney. And if you think about it, I mean, look at Alabama's offense and then that everybody that returns. I mean, it's a plug-and-play type year for Steve Sarkisian, in my opinion. I mean, you have so much talent on the offensive side of the ball, whereas on the defense, you pretty much have to replace your entire secondary for the most part. You know, you are returning Xavier McKinney, Trayvon Diggs is back, but you're losing some vital pieces, and you're losing Mack Wilson across the middle of the field. Got to replace Quinnen Williams. So there's some holes to refill on the defensive side of the ball. So I think it's going to take the defense a little bit more time to catch up to the offense. And it's usually the other way around. Usually the defense is ahead of the game, but not in this particular case. So I'm not surprised to hear Xavier make those comments. Nick Saban had some interesting comments on Wednesday night regarding the running backs. And he mentioned that there's always a freshman that makes a splash or has an impact when you look back on the lineage of the Alabama running backs. And I think, you know, reading between the lines, I mean, I think that he's talking about. Now, Nick Saban had some interesting comments regarding the running backs on Wednesday night. He said that there's always a freshman that makes a splash, plays a role when you look back at the lineage of Alabama running backs. And I think reading between the lines, I think Saban is talking about watch out for Trey Sanders. Here's that clip from Nick Saban on Wednesday night.
Coach, starting back with Cecil.
Coach, I'd like to ask about the running backs. Last year you had sort of a diverse group, particularly with Josh, different skills, and some years, or at least one year, you had a guy like Derrick Henry who was able to carry it 35, 40 times a game. Which is either of those the direction you're going in with running backs, or what kind of group do you have back there?
No, I really feel like, you know, Najee and B-Rob are both really good players. I think both of them have got a significant amount of experience in the past. I think they're ready to take the next step in terms of making a really significant contribution. They both had really good springs. You know, past that, Jerome Ford is kind of a newcomer who's showing some flashes. We got a couple other guys, you know, coming in this freshman class. So, you know, we have had a lot of diversity at running back, but most of the time there's been a young player that contributes to that, almost always a freshman. You know, Mark Ingram was a freshman when, you know, Glenn Coffey was here. You know, Trent Richardson played some, you know, when he was a freshman and Mark was the player. And if you just go through the history of, you know, all the guys, I think Eddie Lacy was probably the only guy that didn't play quite a bit when he's a freshman, and that's because he was a late qualifier and got here late in the summer. So I would expect that we get some help from that group from some young players, you know, as well. But I'm really satisfied with those two guys. I would feel a little more comfortable if we had a few more guys that show that they can play with the consistency and performance that can add even more depth at that position.
All right, thanks for listening. My name is Kyle Henderson at BamaInsider.com. Got a couple more sound bites, and I wanted to pipe in these comments from Tua Tagovailoa regarding backup quarterback Mac Jones and the progress that he's been making year over year. I've seen it out there. I mean, it looked like he's a lot more comfortable. It looks like he knows the playbook inside and out, and that's exactly what Tua says. And I'm going to play that clip for you right now. Here's Tua talking about Alabama quarterback Mac Jones.
What do you like about what you've seen so far from him during the spring and during the scrimmage the other day, and just overall, how much growth have you seen from him since you guys first got here?
Oh, he's grown a lot. You know, I think the biggest word that I could describe Mac Jones and up to this point is confidence. You know, he's very confident in what he does now. He understands the playbook almost inside out. You know, he understands what people need to line up. So, I mean, when you know that, I mean, you can go out there and you can just play fast. And, you know, Mack's been playing really fast. He's been playing really good as well. So,
with the coaching turnover.
And my last clip that I wanted to play is Tua talking about that veteran offense and kind of where things are for the offense now entering spring ball and as we get closer to A-Day. And you can see that Tua knows that there are veterans on this team, but they still need to work on a couple aspects. But for the most part, it seems like he feels pretty good about where the offense is.
Talking about the defense after the first scrimmage, but this year looks like it's more about the offense. Just how much is that just based on how well you guys have gelled so far?
Well, you know, like I said, this is still, you know, kind of a recuperating situation, you know, where in the spring you're just trying to, you know, find guys that you know are going to be really good, and you're just trying to give your experience to them and try to help build them up as well. You know, spring is just to kind of gauge on where everyone is, and you know, I think for our defense, I can't really speak too much for them, but you know, our offense, it's just the leadership is everyone being accountable for one another, and you know, we have a lot of guys that played on the team last year, you know, and so the accountability is there, and for us to just gel with one another, it's a lot easier. You know, it's very smooth. Whereas the defense, we got a lot of new faces out there, and you know, just the leadership is different on both sides. So.
Got some basketball news to round out the show. As you know, Alabama landed Nate Oates, and there's a lot of excitement around Coach Oates, and rightfully so. I mean, there's no question about it that Alabama should be a top 25, top 15 basketball program year in and year out. No reason for them to miss the tournament. It should be about Alabama not making the Sweet 16. But I guess that's a different show for a different time. But one of the first pickups that Nate Oates landed was class 2019 center Raymond Hawkins out of Findlay Prep in Henderson, Nevada. Big kid, 6'9", 220 pounds. Big commitment right out of the gates for Coach Oates. Also in the mix for Alabama is Trendon Watford, 5-star, 6'8", 224-pound power forward right out of Mountain Brook in Birmingham, Alabama. Down to his final teams, Alabama, LSU, Memphis, Indiana, and Duke. Recently, Watford visited Tuscaloosa and new coach Nate Oates. Watford will be announcing his final decision on April 20th at the Jordan Brand Classic. It looks like Watford is trending towards the Crimson Tide. That would be a gigantic get for the new coaching staff, for the program. It would mean a lot for the basketball community to know that Nate Oates is able to come into Tuscaloosa and land a big in getting Raymond Hawkins to commit. And then a couple weeks later, landing Trendon Watford, who's a 5-star. Talk about starting off with a ton of momentum. So we'll keep tabs on Trendon Watford's commitment, which will be April 20th, and we'll get that to you right here on BamaInsider.com. Thanks for listening today. I appreciate it. My name is Kyle Henderson of BamaInsider.com. I'm the managing editor of the website. You can contact me anytime at Kyle@BamaInsider.com. Remember to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Twitter and Facebook all the same. Twitter /BamaInsider. Same on Facebook. And we hope to see you soon at BamaInsider.com. If you're curious to get behind the paywall, get those juicy nuggets on a daily basis, go to BamaInsider.com. Look for the free promo code at checkout. It's simply Roll Tide. What do you have to lose? 30 days free. So be sure and get your premium subscription to BamaInsider.com. Coming to you from beautiful Tuscaloosa, Alabama, this is Kyle Henderson. Until next time, my friends, we'll talk soon.